Namaste and welcome to Live, Love, Engage. I am Gloria Grace Rand, and I'm delighted to be with you today with a good friend of mine, someone that I have known for quite a few years now. We met through networking circles, and her name is Elizabeth Gifford Maffei. Right? I did pronounce that right?
You
Okay.
did. Thank you.
Good. Thank goodness. And Elizabeth is an extraordinary person because when I first met her, she was the epitome of a businesswoman. And little did I know that there's a lot more to this lady, which I'm going to share with you. So she is an intuitive, certified spiritual life coach and speaker. She assists those who may be experiencing fear, stress, loss of direction or purpose in their personal and professional lives. And her clients reap the rewards of a clear guided path to resolve feelings of being stuck, overwhelmed, or having self-doubt, which I know we all can have that from time to time. And she's developed her intuitive abilities and knowledge for over 4 decades. So not only is she a spiritual life coach, but she's an advanced angelic healing practitioner, numerologist, and clear channel for spirit. And she really has a unique ability to apply her connection with spirit. Oh dear. I thought I had muted my phone, and I apologize. I could have sworn I put it on airplane mode. So I'm just gonna, that's what happens. I'm gonna rephrase that and start over and just say that Spirit was talking to us. Elizabeth is unique in her ability to apply her connection with Spirit to both the personal and professional realms. And she also facilitates networking events, and that's also where I know her from because I have attended several of them, and they are awesome. She's a really great connector of people, and she's on a mission to provide freedom, healing, and growth, and that's pretty much what I'm about as well. So that's why I love having you on the show today. So welcome, Elizabeth.
Well, thank you, Gloria, and that's why we align so well. And you're right, we've known each other for so long and have seen growth, personal growth for both of us, and we just continue to grow together. And I just think it's amazing, and I'm honored to be here today.
Yeah, I'm really amazed at how spirit works in our lives, and I think, and you're right, it's like we do, well, I mean, let's face it, we're here, I believe we're here on this planet to grow, to learn and to grow, and I love doing that. And I'm so glad that I've been able to learn from you as well. And in fact, I've been blessed to have you actually do some work with me on sort of my dealing some numerology work and life path things, and so I think maybe we'll start off with you maybe sharing with us a little bit about, because something that you work with is helping people, I guess, maybe figure out what their unique energetic blueprint is. So can you share with us a little bit about that?
Sure, I'd love to. I don't know that people realize or even think about or even have that come up for them that they each have their own energetic blueprint that is absolutely unique to them. So, I think you and I have had these talks before, but everything is energy. I mean, that's what we are. Everything, the table, the desk, the glass, everything and we as well are energy. We each have a vibration, and that can fluctuate and change like with our moods. And I know we've all had that. We've had a down day or just a really happy day, and we're like, why am I so happy today? I mean, sometimes we question that, but we each have our own energetic blueprint as well. So it doesn't only fluctuate with our circumstances, but who we are. So when we're born, then we come into this world with a full set of vibrations that can guide us throughout our lives. It's kind of like going to the store and picking something out, and everything is in the package that you need, right? You're born with this beautiful, unique package. And we're born on a certain day at a certain time with a specific name, a birth name. And all of these things are part of your unique energetic blueprint. No one is like you. And we're born with these abilities and gifts and talents. But the thing is, Gloria, as you and I know really well, is that it's up to us to either use those or ignore them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess, how can, let's say I was coming to you and saying, okay, I'm having whatever issues. So how does maybe knowing what my energetic blueprint is helpful? I guess. How is that helpful?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, it's like your energetic blueprint, your vibration affects your life.
Mm.
Everything that you do, the decisions you make, and the people and the opportunities that come into your life. So let me ask you this question, and I'm sure you'll say yes, but let's see. Have you have you ever walked into a room full of people and there was someone there whom you hadn't met before, but you just felt really drawn to them, like really compelled to go over to them and say something kind of strange like, I don't know who you are, but I knew I had to meet you. Did that ever happen to you?
It did. It happened to me at a conference, a business conference. We were having lunch, and this woman was just sitting all by herself. And I just went over and said, "Do you mind if I, sit with you?" And we struck up a conversation, and we're still friends to this day. And this was, gosh, probably 8 years ago at least. But we just had found we had all these things in common, and it was just, it was like I found my new best friend. It was crazy.
Right. And so that's a perfect example, is that your vibrational blueprint, you are vibrating and had very similar energy to what she did, and you
Mhm.
both came into each other's lives at that perfect time. You may not have been ready for her, or she may not have been ready for you in the past, but all the things aligned and said, oh, we're here. And it's almost like you're best friends and you didn't even know one another.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's kind of an example of what your energetic blueprint can do for you, because if you're aware, if you dig deeper into that.
Yeah.
So have you ever experienced someone who has not been willing to connect with you, or maybe even walked away from you without knowing you?
Mm. Um, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And we tend to think, oh my gosh, is it me? Did I say something? Did I do something? Do I not look the way I'm supposed to, or whatever?
Yeah.
There's that brain talk, right?
Mhm.
Which doesn't serve us.
Yeah.
But I had a similar situation ages ago. I went to a networking event. There were like 300 people there.
Mm.
And there was a young man who I thought, well, he looks interesting. I'll just go over and talk with him and see what he's about.
Mhm.
And I walked toward him and he never saw me. His back was behind me. And every time I walked toward him, he moved away from me. And this happened 3 times.
Oh my goodness.
Never saw me. Then, you get stuck in another little crowd and you
Right.
chat a
Yeah.
little bit. Then I saw him again, never saw me, never looked at me 3 times. And I thought, well, if I've moved him away, then
Mhm.
it's he's either not ready for me or I'm not ready for him. Our energy, our blueprint wasn't in sync,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
But it doesn't mean that it won't be sometime down the road.
Hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. It's really interesting how that happens, because it is fascinating that so much happens on sort of this unconscious level where you're not even speaking to one another, and yet, for whatever reason, yeah, things aren't connecting. And like you said, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's forever. It just means right now, not right now.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
You're just not aligned at that time.
Yeah.
And we have that ability to, try and change our vibration, as I said in the beginning,
Mm.
and yet we're born with certain vibrations that lead us in our lives if we're willing to listen and kind of step into who we are. So
yeah, absolutely. So is there a way, and maybe you're kind of hinting at this, that we can I guess be mindful of our vibration, and then how to maybe use it to really attract what we want, like an abundant life, for instance?
right. Well, and what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, is share a little bit about numerology, and I
Oh,
think that
yeah.
will help things become more clear. Would that
Okay.
be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So explain. Probably for, I'm sure whoever is listening or watching, you may have heard of numerology, but you may not know exactly what it is. So if you can maybe explain in layman's terms.
Sure.
What
No,
it
I'll
is.
be glad to. So just a little backtrack. Albert Einstein, of course, whom we all know of, said that everything is vibration.
Yeah.
And when he died, he left a lot of his work to his daughter, and he had specific instructions about his formula E equals MC squared.
Mm.
And he said, do not release this until 20 years after I've passed, because the world is not ready for this yet.
Mm.
And so what he did was he actually discovered the formula is E equals love plus MC squared.
Oh.
So yeah, isn't that amazing? So that
That is
vibration of love made all of the difference.
Hmm.
In quantum physics, the law of vibration states that everything in the universe has its own vibrational frequency, which we're going to talk about with numerology. And this law serves as a foundation for the law of attraction,
Hmm.
which will apply to how we can make our lives better, right? So at the subatomic level, we don't find matter, but we find pure energy. And this is called the universal field, or maybe, everyone has heard of the Matrix, other than the movie, right? Be interesting to go back and see that movie now, right? So we're all connected, but we vibrate at that different frequency.
Hmm.
So now, what does that have to do with numerology, or what is it?
Right.
It's the study of numbers and the influence on your life. So I talked about earlier that our energetic blueprint, how that aligns with our birth date and our birth name.
Right.
So the date, the day, the year, the month that we're born holds significant value, as well as every single letter in your birth name. So what we do is we convert those letters. They have an equal matching number.
Okay.
Right? And every number from 0 to 9 has a certain resonance. Think about it as if you've ever heard Tibetan singing bowls.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you've heard maybe a small one, and then a medium-sized one, and then a large one. Well, what happens when we play each of those?
Well, they all give off a different tone because because the size affects it. I mean, it's just because I'm a musician, so it's the same sort of theory. Different size instruments, different types of instruments, they all make different sounds, which are based on sound waves, which is vibration, right?
Right, exactly. Even like strings on a guitar.
Yeah,
would
exactly.
be the same thing. And those of us who like it in tune will kind of shudder a little bit when it's out of tune, because the frequency doesn't quite hit us, right? Right. So every number, like I said, from 0 to 9 has a different energy associated with it. So I'd like to give an example of how numerology works and how that can help us with our energetic blueprint. Would that be okay?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So I was working with an attorney a while back, and she was in a firm. She was working for a firm where their whole concept was just bring in as many people as you can. Right? Just keep bringing in the clients, just like they were like numbers, just roll them in. And she loved what she does. She loves to be an attorney, but it was like it was like that guitar string that wasn't tuned right, and it
Yeah.
just, she couldn't, she just couldn't vibrate. She couldn't understand why she didn't fit well into this company. So I had an opportunity to calculate her life path number, and it was the number 9.
Mm.
So this number resonates with the influence of someone who's a compassionate humanitarian.
Mm.
So think about it. She's working for a firm
Yeah.
where all they care about is numbers.
Right.
She's great at what she does and she loves what she does, but the firm is not working with her.
Yeah.
So what she ended up doing after receiving this information is that she stepped away from that firm, joined another one where she was getting paid less. However, she was able to work with people who were trying to get their US citizenship.
Mm.
And you see how that fit into someone who is a humanitarian.
Yeah, absolutely.
She needed to know that she was really making a difference. It wasn't about the money for her.
Right.
And this really brought her tremendous joy. She de-stressed,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Was no longer stressed. She couldn't wait to get up in the morning,
Yeah.
would work longer hours.
Yeah. And probably started making more money too, I bet.
Right, eventually, right.
Eventually, yeah, because she was happier.
Exactly. You know, she just began to live her path, but that was her life path, and something that so resonated with her without being spoken,
Mm-hmm.
right? She didn't even realize it, and she just felt compelled to
Yeah.
work. So, you know, numerology is a tool that brings clarity to our path, to our destiny, to our challenges. I mean, if you look back at different parts of your life, and I know I have, and it's almost like they were segmented, like from when you were born to kind of your mid-20s, you know, you had certain challenges go on, and then all of a sudden, sometimes we're aware and sometimes we're not. We shift, and all of a sudden, challenges or priorities become something new in our lives. Achievements, right?
Yeah.
So it's much easier to work in your energetic flow than it is against it. Very much like that example of the attorney.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. I love that because it really is interesting. And I know, I remember even, I think as a kid, I think my mother used to have like little books with about different things. And I think one of them was about numerology. I think she had one on palmistry and stuff and, you know, and things. I remember looking at it and just fascinating. And I know as I've grown spiritually, one of the things I've become aware of, and I'm sure probably our listeners out there, you probably have too. And in fact, this even happened this morning because I went to the grocery store this morning and you know, on the fuel gauge on the car, it tells you how many miles you have left before you need to fill up. Well, it was 333. And I was like, ooh, I wonder what that means. So, and I've become more aware of seeing like patterns like that, repeating numbers. What I've Googled them at times and found different, you know, I think it seems like everybody and their brother has an idea, but what is your opinion of that? And what does it mean when we see?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked. This is, well, I get so excited about this. Well, first of all, I think maybe all of the listeners need to know that what your life path is. May I share that number with them?
Sure.
Okay. So your life path is a number 33.
Oh.
You just shared that you saw a 333.
Right.
And when we talked about coming together and having this discussion today, we decided to do it today, which is the 22nd.
Right.
Because the number 22 is very significant in my life as well. So bringing the 33 and the 22 together. So that was a no-brainer for you.
Yeah.
But you know, what does that mean for everybody else?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's so interesting if you pay attention and you are aware of repeating numbers. A lot of people see like 1111
Mm-hmm.
on their clock, or 777 or 22 or 55 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you can see them often on your clock, like you said, your odometer,
Mm-hmm.
license plates. Like
Yeah.
that's my favorite thing, is to drive it like, oh, 66, oh, 77.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool to look at those repeating numbers, but to your question, what does that mean? My advice is to ask yourself at the time when you see these repeating numbers, they're typically a message for you to pay attention.
Mm.
And because each of those numbers resonate with something different. For example,
Mm-hmm.
the number 11 is the highest vibrational intuitive number.
Mm.
So a lot of people like to say, oh, my angels are talking to me, so I'll give you an example. You're driving down the road, you see 11, then you go to buy something at the store, this is what happened to me as well. You get a receipt and it has 11 on it, right? 7-Eleven or something
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
And it's 11, 11, 11 all day. They're inspiring you to check in with yourself and ask, okay, what is going on for me? What is top of mind? Do I have a concern that's going on? And the number 11 will say to you, you know what? Stop thinking up here. Stop thinking in your head, right?
Yeah.
Check in with your heart, your gut, your intuition. What is the answer? You're seeking an answer. What should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? And you're asking everybody, and you're looking it up online, and you've got all these 11s around you.
Mm.
And you're being told, you know what? Trust your intuition.
Mm.
So, a funny story, talking about the repeating numbers. About 1.5 years ago, my husband got his new license plate. It was time, it was renewed, and so they sent a new license plate. And on his license plate said the number 55.
Yeah.
And when I looked at it and he put it on his car, I gasped, and I immediately turned to him and I said, we're going to move. And he said, what? We had no plans of moving, and we had been in the same place for 13 years. The number 5 represents adventure and change.
Oh.
And you see 2 5s together. I'm like, uh-oh.
Double your fun?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Double your fun. Big change is coming.
Yeah.
And within 6 months, and we had no plans of doing this, within 6 months, we purchased a new home.
Wow.
And it was never, I can't say it wasn't in our intention or in our field. It was in the past.
Yeah.
And it had been there, but the timing wasn't right.
Okay.
And then speak of 11, when we purchased the home, the numbers on our house add up to 11.
Oh, very good.
So numbers are all around us. And if we just gather some information about what each of the vibrations mean and how we can step into that, it can make a huge difference in our lives.
Very cool. Very cool. So now that we've had a little education about numerology, let's get back to then, how do we use, we talked about vibration with your energetic blueprint. We've talked about frequency, even like repeating numbers and things like that. So how can we use these concepts to be able to live a full and vibrant and even, dare I say, abundant life?
Oh, yes, definitely say that. That's exactly what we want to intend. So, great question. If you have your numerology chart prepared for you, or even if you're just, you're curious about numbers and you do some research on that, that it helps as a guide. It really gives you so much insight into who you are, where you're going from here. But what's fascinating is if your family members do that as well, then sometimes it really reveals, oh, now I understand why they're so detail oriented, why
Mm.
they have to go through a process, why decisions are difficult for them, right? Or, oh, now I know why this person is just very easygoing, and it helps you with your relationships
Mm.
as well. But also, I think one of the most important things is to continue to work on raising our frequency.
Mm.
Again, we're born with a set of numbers, we're born with our blueprint. But you and I know that we all have free will,
Right. Exactly.
right? So
Mm.
we get to choose. And if we raise our frequency, this helps us to attract the people and the opportunities in our lives that are for our highest and best.
Mm.
Right? It's kind of like that friend you said, I mean, look at the rich relationship you have now
Right.
because your frequency was so high and she was at a very similar level. So, and we can also be more helpful to others because
Mm.
think about it. Have you ever had any mentors?
Oh, yeah. Lots of them. Yeah. And still
Yeah,
do at the moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I as well. And mentors are meant to help us raise ourselves up,
Mm.
whether it's in knowledge or thought or beliefs or whatever it is. They help guide and raise us up. But I always think of it as like um, walking up a waterfall. I had to do this one time where everybody had to hold hands. I had to hold a hand in front of someone, and then someone behind me held my hand, and we all, like a human chain, had to lift each other up.
Oh, my.
So when you raise your frequency, you can help that next person
Mm.
raise themselves as well. So, and you can do this in a lot of ways. One of the things that a lot of people get stuck on is that negative thought,
Mm-hmm. Right.
that mindset, right? And it's my belief that you can't just replace a positive thought with a negative thought.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get rid of that negative thought and shift it. And sometimes it's just a matter of paying attention and acknowledging it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might hear in your head, oh, gee, you just look awful today. And then acknowledge that. Say, wait a minute, you look awful today. Is that really true? No, that's not really true. Okay, I no longer need you. And then you eliminate it.
Mm-hmm.
And then shift your frequency by saying, I am looking as best as I can today. Right? It doesn't mean that you have to say you're
Like,
gorgeous, but
right.
raise that vibration. So
Yeah.
shift that, right? You can shift that.
Mm-hmm.
Intention is everything,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that true?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, um, I love the idea of shifting your vibration and raising the frequency, because this is something I've talked about on the show with others and even in my own episodes, because I have found that it still goes into the law of attraction because of what you're putting out there. If you are going about things where you aren't feeling great, where you are feeling negative, or you're just feeling down, and then that's how you're going through your day, then it becomes a lot easier to see things that are also sort of going to reinforce that. And it's sort of what's the phrase, like ties into you're making it true by what you see, in a way, because that's, you're already in that mood, so it sort of predisposes you to look for more things to make you get stuck in traffic, or your husband or something yells at you, or you stub your toe. All these things kind of add up. But if you then do the converse and start looking for the bright side of life, and one thing I've talked about a lot is just being grateful. Finding something to be grateful about, that is a great way to be able to change your mood. Because it's hard to be grumpy when you're grateful. I don't know. Have you
That's
found
true.
that?
Yes, yes, that's very true. And you're right. We pay attention to those things that we create, because
Mm.
we can create anything. So if we're, like you said, if we're in a cranky mood, we're going to create all of those situations around us. And why? Because then we can say, oh, see, I was right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Then we justify it.
Right, right.
But what if we could justify a new contract coming in, or a new client, or a beautiful relationship, or healing a relationship, or any of those wonderful, juicy things, right?
Absolutely.
We have that same ability. You know, a lot of people say, oh, I need this, I want this, that's my intention. I need to do this so that I can have that.
Right.
And you and I know that those are words of lack.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
But remember, we talked about Einstein saying E equals love plus MC squared.
Yeah.
And if we just shift the word from need or want to the word desire,
Right.
and we use our heart energy as an amplification, it's scientifically proven that the energy that comes from our heart is amplified 15 feet away from us.
Wow.
So if we desire, we set that intention and we hold it in our thoughts, it's going to flow to us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's that easy.
Yeah.
It's that.
And you know what? It's also going to then, because it is flowing out 15 feet away, I think it's going to then positively affect everyone that is around you. And isn't that what we all want? Because then if you're sending love out to your significant other or your child, if you truly love them, you want them to feel that anyway, and then they're going to be more inclined to be that way. And I know I've seen that recently in my relationships with some significant people, because I've been more mindful about just really being focusing on all of their good qualities and really appreciating them. And wouldn't you know it, but they're giving me more reasons to be grateful and more reasons to appreciate, because they're doing things that they wouldn't normally do. And I'm like, oh, that was so nice. Thank you. And so,
Well done.
Yeah.
Well
So
done.
it's those seeds that you've got to sow. They really can reap a good harvest, as they say.
It's true. And you know, the most important love is self-love. And if you have self-love and you know, internally you love yourself, knowing that you are the very best that you are at this very moment. That's all it is.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. Just right now.
That's it. Then that is sent out in the room or to the world. And that's when we feel that attraction. Wow, there's something really just calming or peaceful or confident or funny or whatever words people use.
Right.
And you never know, that one person may make the absolute difference in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, goodness. There is so much to be able to cover here. What is your, I'm going to ask you one other question here. What is your favorite modality? Because I know you are involved in a lot of things here, you know, that we talked about even at the beginning. So what is sort of maybe your favorite tool? Let's maybe even call it that, in your tool chest when you're working with clients. Or do you have one?
I mean, it's hard to choose.
They're probably like your children, right?
Yeah. Well, and the reason it's hard to choose is because everybody, and I'm going to use the word need now, everybody needs something different. So I love to dig in and find out what's going on with someone. And then I check into the intuitive part and figure out which of the tools are best for them. So if they're struggling, they don't know the next direction to go to, they don't understand why things are always happening, or why certain relationships are repeating, you know, a pattern, then I would go to numerology as a tool.
Okay.
But if they're struggling with love, you know, if they struggled with things in their past, in their early childhood, if there's healing that needs there, then I may do an angelic healing for them, where they receive messages and they become very peaceful, but then they also, our frequencies are matched so that they also get information that they've always had, but it's been buried.
Mm.
And
Okay.
then the healing can begin. So great question. Thank you for asking that.
That's cool. Well, that's good to know. Then it's helpful to have, the different modalities. And, and now that I think about it, it sort of explains why I've interviewed like people who do have like, not just one thing. I mean, there might be one that sort of is their maybe go-to, but they also are skilled, maybe it's hypnosis or Reiki or angels or what have you, or yoga, things like that. But then it makes sense why, I think, because at our heart, we want to be able to help people. So it's good to be able to find, if you can have access to, knowledge about different ways to help people, then you can help more people.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
so that's
That's
cool.
true.
So speaking of helping people, if someone wanted to be able to learn more about what you do, and they are feeling drawn, they love your energy and would like some help, what is the best way for someone to contact you? And how do you work? Do you work like one-on-one, or do you do group programs?
Actually, I do both. I do one-on-one, whether it's business coaching or spiritual life coaching, relationship. I also do group events, workshops, retreats, and things like that. So it just depends on. I love having an initial conversation with someone and finding where they are. And sometimes they only know the surface of where they are, but I'm able to intuit deeper
Mm-hmm.
and help to guide them to what would be the best way. So they're more than welcome to visit me on my website. It is ElizabethGiffordMaffei.com. That Maffei is a very interesting spell. It's Maffei, and that's another story for another time. Or they can call me directly or email me as well.
Okay.
But I love to connect. And even if I can't serve them, I have been in this area for so long that I love to connect people with who's best going to serve them. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and that's so important, because we don't always resonate with everyone, and that's okay. And because I know I've done that, even when strictly business work, dealing with copywriting or things like that, that there are certain clients that I'm like, I'm not really the best fit for you, but I can refer you to someone else. And I do, because you're still able to help them, even if you're not able to help them directly. So that's good.
Absolutely. Or sometimes they just need another step before they come to you.
Okay.
So they need some assistance in another way. And once that's cleared, then they are ready.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom and knowledge with our audience. I really appreciate you, Elizabeth, and I'm so blessed to have you in my life, and I get to share you with others. So that's awesome.
Thank you so much, Gloria. I appreciate you. You do tremendous work, and we just need to continue to share, because it just makes such a difference. And thank you so much.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And thank you, the listeners of Live, Love, Engage, and if you're watching on my YouTube channel, I appreciate you as well. And if you ever want to drop me a comment, I would love to hear from you, and let me know how what you're getting out of these programs. I would really appreciate it. So if you want to leave me a review on iTunes, and it doesn't, the good, bad, whatever, I'll take it. I can handle it. I can handle constructive criticism. And I guess that's going to probably do it for me for this time. So until next time, as always, I encourage you to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.